Hey, it's Mark Oskowitz from Tri-Gable Leaf Farm here. I've got a simple fencing solution for whether this is going around your chicken coops to make a chicken run, or like I'm doing here in my garden, or it's also good for creating like a little trellis for vines and for your grapevines to grow on. I'm actually doing that here on the corner here. I have a grapevine that's been established, and it's been sitting there for a couple years now, and it's at the point where it's going to need some support. Otherwise, it's just going to be trailing along the ground. So what we have are these 16-foot fencing panels. So each one of these is 16 feet long, and they're called cattle panels. So I picked these up at my local Tractor Supply, and I've got some still loaded on my trailer. I got a 12-foot trailer, and so the 16 feet panels just kind of curl up on that. You can also buy them in, half as long, 8 feet. So plan out your project ahead of time, thinking in 16-foot dimensions and 8-foot dimensions. That doesn't mean that you can't go shorter. It just means if you really want to maximize your material use and get the biggest bang for your buck. So I've got a stretch of fencing right here going down the line for my garden. That's 48 feet. And 48 feet divided by 16, it's nice. It's like 3 panels. I did also use two panels here, but those were only 12 foot long. So I cut some off. But here's the thing: is that the piece that I cut off, it ends up becoming, so if you think 12 feet, 16 minus 12, I cut off about 4 feet from it. Now I've got a panel. These panels are 5 feet tall. So I've got a piece of waste that's 5 feet by 4 feet, okay? And that I can use as a mini trellis in my garden for vining things like cucumbers or your runner beans and stuff like that. I can stack 2 of them together to create like a little 5 foot tall little A-frame. There's a lot of possibilities with this. Snow peas, all right, so you get the idea. The materials are pretty inexpensive. Each panel, the 16 footers, are going for about $25. If you think even in the future, if this video is out of date or whatever, you're still probably going to be in that $30 range each section. So 16 feet, 5 feet tall. The gaps in these, you're looking at the gaps for these. These are about 8 inches by 6 inches. Down towards the bottom, they get a little smaller. They get like 4 inches by 8 inches. So is this going to keep things out if you use it for a chicken run? Well, not necessarily. No, okay? But this becomes a base. I keep talking about this and looking at creating inexpensive fencing systems for chicken runs. This becomes a sturdy base that you can wire on other smaller gauge wires, your welded wires, your hardware cloth or chicken wire, whatever you prefer to use, and use it just at the lower level to create a perimeter, or go crazy, go up and over. Now the corners for these end up being where 2 panels come together. This becomes pretty darn rigid because these are really heavy gauged metals. This is not like your flimsy fencing that comes in a roll. So this is really heavy duty stuff. So when you get your corners here, they kind of square themselves up, giving it a good shake, and it's only got a little wobble to it. That's what also makes these really nice for trellising. So at my school garden, I've got grapevines trellised on these. I did it as an experiment there, and I'm like, I'm just going to do this at my house. And so I'm going to be using this to trellis. I'll probably do a separate video, but for blackberries, they go crazy. But to kind of weave them through these panels. And right here, like I'm showing you, I'm going to be training these grapes up here. See, here's the great thing about these fencing panels is that it's a fencing panel, and then initially I'm just using like cable ties, zip ties, 3 of them on each post, and I'm just putting the posts like about 8 feet apart. So even post-wise, this isn't like using a lot of posts. Could you get in some wooden posts, cedar posts? Yeah. But I'm using these. Now, this is important. This is a very heavy gauge T post. You see the letter T there. It's not a U-shaped post. So looking down at, these are going to be more expensive, but this is what you really want to use. You're going to have a sledge. I've just got my mini sledge to put these in the ground, but like burying these in the ground, they're really gonna hold. Versus I really avoid getting them, the U-shaped ones. If you look down and you see a U shape, that's not what you want for these. Those, when you try to take them out of the ground, they bend and twist. These, when you take them out of the ground, they stay true. You know, it's only like machinery that's gonna really bend these. So other pros with this fencing thing is, so you're thinking like 16 feet, you know, so I've got, well, anyway, never mind how many I got and how much I spent on this. You can do the math. 16 feet, $25 a piece. And cutting them, where's my tool? Cutting them, you can get you know, like an angle grinder and grind them away. That does work. It's gonna, but you know, spending and buying a $20, $30 tool like this, you'll find that you use this for a lot of other things around in your gardening enterprises. So this is just an 18-inch little bolt cutter. And that's what I use to snip through these, to cut them down to size, or to make them fit for other projects. One of the great things about this is that if I'm just installing it with zip ties, that means it's not permanent. That means if I need to get a wheelbarrow in here, if I need to get a loader in here, if I need to like dump a load of compost in here or straw or whatever, I can just take a whole panel out and it's no big deal. Now, I can't do that if I've got stuff growing on it. So some of these are going to be wired in place. The zip ties are just temporary, and I'll actually get some wire, run it around it, and get them to hold really tight against the stakes. However, with some of these, like I know down here, this little corner down here is where I can kind of pull something in and dump stuff into the garden area if I need to, dump in straw. That panel is definitely always going to be just zip tied on, so I can quickly take it off, move it out of the way, put stuff in, and then replace it. It's just going to be a really nice, clean way of creating a perimeter. And it's going to be a multi-purpose perimeter where some parts going to be used as trellis, and it's sturdy. And if I wanted to keep critters out, like I've got like rabbits that come from the field, I could put a smaller diameter, or smaller gauge, less expensive wire, and zip tie it to this foundation. And that's what I'm saying with like the chicken runs. That's what I'm actually going to be doing. I'm going to be replacing the entire chicken run, which it has welded wire fencing, which is perfect. But I'm going to be replacing it with this, knowing that it's going to last longer, it's going to be sturdier, and it's going to be a more solid foundation if I wanted to add other materials onto it. So I'll probably also do at the ends here where I've got there's going to be like a little garden gate over here. I'll probably sink in some cedar posts and build a nice gate to the garden just to make it look nice. Do I need a gate in my garden? No, but it's a fun project. Maybe at one end or the other, I've been thinking about making like a trellis, like a nice little garden gate trellis, something that's visual and ornamental, and I think like overall, it's like I'm not investing in a wooden fence. I'm not investing in some kind of fence that's gonna like bend or break or whatever with time. These panels really hold up well. Yeah, you can see I really like them, and so altogether, this is like an awesome option. I'll stop going on. I think basic tools, yeah, we got our sledge, little nippers for the zip ties, this for cutting the panels. There's really also, there's hardly anything you need for installation. So other dimensions, I'm just using 5 foot long T-posts and just putting them in about, a foot or half a foot, somewhere around it. Yeah, about a foot deep or so, with these 5 foot long T-posts, and then zip tying it in. That's fine enough. If I really cared to have the tops of the posts match the top of the fencing, then you could bury them, get longer posts, get 6 foot posts, and bury them just right. But right now it's coming out as like a pretty nice straight line going down, and it's honestly, I'm just like, really, this has only been like an hour's worth of work. It hasn't been that long. So it also goes up fast. Pros. I really can't think of any cons right now. All right, take care.